untapped realtor market.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is by far. It's an untapped citizen market. So it's not just realtors. It's business. There are very few people there. There are a lot of, in my experience, a lot of commission meetings skew older.
Yeah.
There are a lot of older people. There are a lot of retired people who have a lot of time and they pay attention to these issues. The the only time you usually see crowded commission meetings is when there's a really hot button issue, or it's during an election cycle. So people are trying to get people in to get them engaged about something that's making them mad,
Yeah.
about some company that's moving in or some piece of construction that's getting done. Whenever there's not a hot button issue, in the old days before the current political climate, government just sort of ran in the background, right? You just knew that the government was doing whatever the government does. And in those times, when everything is sort of working like it's supposed to, very few people show up because there are very few people that are sort of paying attention to the magnitude or the power of the information that's being shared. So that creates an environment where people like us can show up and have that knowledge and then use that knowledge to empower others, but to also grow our businesses because there's no one else there. I've seen it myself, the reaction that I've gotten from developers when I didn't get to introduce myself to them at the commission meeting, but I saw them later in the mall or something and spoke. Like, whoa, how do you know me?
Yeah.
Like, hey, how do you
Hold
know
up,
me?
bro.
Exactly. There you go. Where I know you from.
Yeah.
But they're not used to real estate agents knowing who they are. They get accustomed to the anonymity of just sort of being able to move around the room and nobody who knows. Or you see them at a sales center. In pre-construction, especially with condos, we see a lot of this at launch parties or at happy hours. They're unveiling a floor plan or something, and the sales team is there, and they're talking about it, engaging with all the realtors, but there are two or three of the developers just sort of floating around the room, and they're not there for the spotlight. They're just there to sort of see what's going on to make sure everybody's doing their job. But knowing them is where there's power. And hey, how you doing? How you been? It's a beautiful project.
Right.
And the way you get to know who those people are, one of the best ways, because there are a bunch of other ones, but one of the best ways to get to know who those people are commission meetings.
Nate, I'm curious because there's you talk about developers a lot.